When I decided I was going to move to Alaska, I was fortunate to have a job to bring with me. I've been working from home since 2002, mainly as a freelancer. In my free time, I also resell on eBay to make some additional income. If I didn't have a job when I decided to move to Alaska in September 2023, I most likely would have applied at jobs in different areas of Alaska just to make sure I had a stream of income shortly after I arrived. But looking back at everything that I've learned since being here, if I had come to Alaska with no job, as long as I had enough money to cover 3 months of rent, groceries, and bills, I would have been more than safe. I most likely would have come directly to Anchorage so that I was sure to get a quick job, and from there search for a job in a town or community that I preferred to live in. It's much easier finding a job here when you already live in Alaska than if you're looking for a job in Alaska while you're living in the lower states or another country. I also learned that even with remote jobs, there's no guarantee that where you want to go will give you good enough internet to keep your online job. I understand that people are going to say Starlink is great and other people are going to say MTA is great, but everyone has different experiences and different opinions with all of the internet providers in Alaska. For some, Starlink seems to work well, and for other people, Starlink seems to have a lot of problems. What we don't know, though, is do these people actually have Starlink, or are they just repeating what they saw someone else say who may or may not have Starlink or MTA themselves? The only way you'll ever know is when you pick one out and see how it works when you're here in Alaska. When I arrived in Valdez, I used the internet from the motel, and that was the best way not to have any problems working online. I'm sure I wouldn't have had any problems if I needed to buy my own internet services in Valdez, but I'm happy I didn't have to worry about that the first 8 months that I was in Alaska. When the winter ended and I moved to Anchorage, I felt very confident that I would have no issues with the internet because I've heard how the internet works great in the city. But when I moved into the motel, they didn't offer Wi-Fi, and I tried using Hotspot from my phone, and that didn't work well in Anchorage, which surprised me considering it's the biggest city in Alaska. So I had to pay for the company myself to set up internet for me in my motel room. If you work remotely, I think you have a great advantage if you move to Alaska. In most places in Alaska, your internet will be fast enough so that you have no problems continuing your work here. But be prepared in case it doesn't, and that may mean you can't live where you want to live in Alaska, or you have to be willing to stop working remotely and get a normal job in a normal place like a normal person. Anyone who's worked online for as long as I have understands it's not easy to get back to a normal job when you've been working online for so long from home on your comfortable sofa with no boss leaning over your back complaining about something that has nothing to do with you. I remember when COVID lockdown began and people were forced to start working from home, and my friends talking about how great this was. They said things like, "This is so much better than going into the office every day," and they were all excited. It was a funny feeling back in 2020 because I just thought to myself, this is nothing new. I had already been working online from home the past 18 years, and even though I think I'm fortunate and lucky to have been able to do this, it's hard to celebrate something that you've been doing almost half of your life. It's just normal to me today. I plan on continuing with my freelancing until I don't earn enough to pay my bills. But if that day comes where my freelancing can't support me, the next time you drive through Alaska, I may be asking you, "Do you want fries with that burger?"